Back to the daily grind, and y'all know we gotta talk about this. But before we do, make sure you hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Top Rank and Lomachenko are going head up with the UFC 224 pay-per-view card. This is interesting, man. We know there's been a rivalry between Dana White and boxing. I wouldn't necessarily say just Dana White and boxing anymore. I mean, Dana White's a fan of boxing. His sons even started boxing. He worked with Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe and all of these guys to make Conor McGregor versus Mayweather one of the biggest boxing fights. There's too much controversy. I'm pretty sure it's not the highest rated boxing fight ever. I think Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather beat it out by just a little. But at the same time, Conor McGregor, one of the biggest stars in the UFC, went over and also became one of the biggest stars in boxing. So with that being said, though, there's a lot of boxers and boxing promoters that aren't too happy with this. Oscar De La Hoya and a lot of these other people come out and they talk trash about Dana White, Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, all of these people for ruining the sport. You know, that's what they say. But then whenever Dana White's saying, hey, Conor McGregor needs a new opponent, they're the first to throw their fighters in the hat. Like, oh, we'll fight you. Shit, you know, Oscar's like, hey, one of my fighters will fight you. Or shit, I'll even come out of retirement and fight you. I'll jump out these motherfucking fishnets and we can get it popping in the ring, Conor. But with that being said, that's another topic for another day. Vasyl Lomachenko is one of the most popular boxers. I don't watch boxing for shit, and I know Vasyl Lomachenko. He's one of the guys that have talked about coming over to the UFC. He showed off some of his wrestling skills. He wrestled when he was younger. He said, hey, I might be interested in possibly a UFC super fight in the future. So that's why I know who Lomachenko is. Other than that, I can probably name you 10 boxers off the top of my head. So with that being said, though, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Now, there's been boxing going heads up with UFC before. I don't know exactly how the numbers played out because it wasn't like big card, first big card, so it wasn't even necessarily the same. Like, what was it? Like last weekend, we had like UFC 222 and Andre Berto, was that his name? Some other boxer fighting for free, but it was different because one was free, one was pay-per-view. I believe Lomachenko is going to be fighting on pay-per-view, and we know UFC 224 is a pay-per-view in Brazil, and usually the Brazilian cards are pretty stacked, so we're going to have some talented fights on that card. You're talking about Jacare versus Kelvin Gastelum, Robert Whittaker versus Yoel 2. Well, not at UFC 224. That's not where Robert Whittaker and Yoel 2 is, but we will have a title fight on that pay-per-view in Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington, and you do still have Jacare versus Kelvin Gastelum, Vitor Belfort versus Lyoto Machida. I mean, there's some really good fights on that UFC card, so it's going to be interesting. Just, you know, as somebody that's paying attention to the combat sports, you know, how does boxing pay-per-view do on the same night as a UFC pay-per-view? You know, it's not like Conor's fighting or Floyd's fighting or Pacquiao's fighting or John Jones is fighting. These are just two legitimate boxing and mixed martial arts cards going heads up against each other, and may the best sport win. Oh, I hope we win for saying that. I really hope we win. It could, because I'm telling you right now, boxing outsells UFC that night. I'm going to give y'all a good-ass excuse for the reason. But stay tuned for that. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. Top Rank and Lomachenko are going head up with the UFC 224 Rio card. And may the best combat sport win. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.